Welcome back to another edition of the Daily Knights. I am your host, Brian Smith. Mr. Johnson, welcome back to the show. Andrew, today's show's a little bit different than normal, but good to be back on. How you doing today?
Doing good, man. Like I said, I'm just glad to be back, buddy.
All right, let's just kind of jump into it. Some news this morning that is not exactly the most positive. Terrence Lewis has been accused of domestic violence. He is the linebacker that transferred to UCF from the University of Maryland. He is formerly of the Miami area, national recruit, etc. This would be his second strike in that arena. And quite honestly, if it is true, I'm not sure how much of a football career the man has left, but he was in jail last night in Miami. I've seen the picture, etc., etc.
Yeah.
First things first, your reaction, thoughts. I'll just kind of let you take a swipe at it.
Yeah, just like we talked about, it's just not a good look for the UCF and the culture that Gus Malzahn and the new coaching staff are trying to build. Even if, he does get over it, I just don't think it's going to be a good look, and they'll keep him on the team.
Ditto.
That's a guy that's a guy you can build around that linebacker. 5-star, very talented player. You lose that guy, and you're already so thin that linebacker, like everyone already knows. It's just a tough look, man. It's just not good.
I don't know what else to say. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, and at this point, you just kind of wonder what's going on, and if he needs some type of intervention with this, because some people just look at things differently. They're built differently.
Right.
But Terrence Lewis, talent aside, it doesn't matter. There are certain check boxes in society, regardless of physical skill, that
you can't look past that, man.
No, it's just not going to happen.
It's a tough one.
Especially, I know Malzahn a little bit. I know some people that know him a heck of a lot better than me. He's a very religious guy, very conservative when it comes to how he handles situations with women, etc. Yeah, I don't see that ending well. So the obvious, Terrence aside, you and I had talked about linebacker a couple times on the show. Yeah. And to summarize, here's all the shows in one. There's no depth anyway. I mean, there was none.
No.
Now you lose arguably the physically most gifted player on the entire 85-man roster, and it's at your number one weakness spot. It's just a double shot to the belly. So I know you and I had spoken briefly prior to the show about, hey, there are some quote-unquote options in the portal, and there will be more.
Yeah.
Go ahead and throw out a few names, give what you got, and let's ride from there.
So I'm sure some fans have seen this guy talked about on social media. His name is Brandon Jennings, Kansas State guy, second time transferring. He's from Jacksonville. He's a thick linebacker that will be good to pair with Jeremiah. But like we talked about, I don't know. This is second time transferring. Will he be able to play? Will he not? Talk about that a little bit, Brian. You know a little bit more about that than me.
Here's the deal. With the transfer portal, the idea was now you could go into it and you could be eligible immediately. He did that to Kansas State. Your second transfer, and Gus has even talked about this at press conferences, you sit out a year. I will be surprised if he is, quote-unquote, granted a release from that, because then it is a situation where the NCAA is allowing player A to do it, but then not player B. When you get into that, that's when lawyers are not your friend. So the NCAA gets enough bad rap from guys like me who hates the NCAA. They're not going to create more mess for themselves. I could be wrong, but my experience.
It's going to be tough, but he's a friend of Terrence Lewis. I feel like he can, he'll already have that relationship, and he can build with the coaching staff. So that'll be good to pick up. I don't know if he'll be ready to go this year, but they're going to need somebody.
I would still take him if he had to sit out a year.
I would,
but I'm just looking at it from the following perspective. We need help now. If you're Gus Malzahn, if you're Travis, David Gibbs, and the entire defensive staff.
Yeah.
Look, at some point you're going to have injuries everywhere, but linebacker is one of the highest risk positions for injury on a football field, statistically proven.
And
you can't afford to lose guys.
We'll talk about the new guy they brought in from UAB here in a second. He's a hard-nosed player. Can they keep him healthy? And if he goes down, man, the linebackers, like you said, quarterback was the only other position where you couldn't have anybody go down.
Yeah, you could never lose your quarterback. It's just one of those situations. That's everybody on every play can have their season upended if quarterback gets hurt.
but the UCF was like
that's all teams, all levels.
They couldn't have somebody nothing happen to the
line. The linebacker spot we talked about 2-3 weeks ago, and then we didn't even make it in the summer. Literally, that's like summer doesn't officially begin till like June 20th or whatever. Heck, we're not even in June. It's embarrassing. It's like, how does this transpire?
That's not a good look.
Anybody else?
I got a couple other guys for you. Cortez Andrews. Cortez Andrews. He just transferred from Florida State. He's an IMG guy. UCF offered him back in, I believe, 2016 or 2017. So he already has some ties, maybe to the university. I'm not sure the coaching staff, but he's another local guy that can, get some playing time now that is so thin at linebacker at UCF. And another guy, my last guy, Ayodele Adeyo. He's another IMG guy. He's a Florida guy. He's from Texas. But like we talked about, man, these kids see there's an opening spot now with maybe Terrence Lewis gone and already being you losing Tatum Bethune, Bryson Armstrong, two of your top tacklers. So there's an opening spot for guys to come in at UCF and get some production at linebacker.
It wouldn't surprise me if this opened the door for somebody that was quote unquote on the fence somewhere about transferring. Yeah. I mean, that's part of it. These kids all know each other. Yeah. Especially if it's a kid like Terrence, for example, just his name's in the mix here. He went to Maryland. A lot of kids just decide that they want to be closer. There could be a kid at Michigan State or Texas Tech or whatever that was a JUCO kid, went there and decides to transfer to finish school up. Mm. If they're on the fence and they were thinking about coming back home, look, playing time is a primary reason, especially when you've got 1, maybe 2 years left of your college eligibility. So why not? To that end, you still need multiple.
Really quick, really quick. Who was the Eastern Illinois linebacker that transferred?
Johnson?
The Johnson kid.
He's going to play. He's going to play.
The Johnson kid. So they got Jeremiah Johnson kid, and they got the transfer Chris from UAB.
But they don't have any depth.
No depth. Yeah, man.
And you got to remember, you're still putting in guys. You're assuming that they will fit. You don't know. So as the saying goes, you want as many different opportunities to fire out there. You try player A at a position, it doesn't work, you try him another, and you just want as many options. Plus, guys need to come out of even if they don't get hurt.
Yeah.
Playing in Orlando, it's hot. You've got to rotate bodies more often. So this is one of the hottest places on earth in the months of August, September, and October when they're playing home games.
Man.
So
you just can't lose one of your most talented defensive players.
No, and it changes how you practice, how much you hit or do not hit, which is a pet peeve of mine. Because if your tackling goes down, you're not going to beat the quality teams that have those guys that can make you miss anyway. You need all the reps you can get. If you're thin at linebacker, you start just doing thuds in practice where you don't tackle to the ground. At all levels, it changes the level of tackling ability. It's a proven fact.
Let me ask you this. Do you think this kind of changes the perception of, what we talked about, the culture that they're trying to establish? Because you talked about it. He was in Miami. This wasn't like he hasn't even completed a full, round of fall training, Does this hurt Gus Malzahn's, image or the UCF or what they're trying to build? Or was this an act of a player doing something boneheaded, and that's on him?
This is a multiple answer because every person will have a different answer. Anytime the words domestic violence are put into a sentence, you're going to get a lot of different people upset. If you're from a family that has seen somebody like your mother who got beat up at one point or your girlfriend or whatever, it's going to hit you different. I've dated a few girls that have been through some bad things, so it impacts me differently than it would somebody that has not.
Right.
But it just depends. Like the next time Gus walks into a house, a recruiting visit in the fall or whatever, somebody's going to ask him about this.
That's what, if they bring it
back,
it's just going to open so many doors for people to poke fingers at UCF.
Oh, 100%. There's no way around that. You're right. No. You're 100%. How Gus will answer that or Travis or anybody else, I do not know. From my experience, it's just the basic statement. We gave the guy a chance.
Yeah.
It didn't work out. We moved on. And they just try to get away from it as fast as possible because there is no win.
When it's domestic, there's no win.
No.
With
women's rights, such a big deal in society in general, in sport being such a big burner of news across people that don't even watch sport. They'll see Tom Brady come up to the microphone and they'll know who it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Everybody has somebody because they're just used to Michael Jordan, whatever. If domestic violence happens, they don't care about the person. They're just automatically angry at him. They don't even have to know the guy's name.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? They see UCF attached to that.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly that question. Yeah.
What do you do? There's nothing you can do. You took the risk. You got burned.
Yeah.
That's fact, etc. Now, as we kind of dive back into this, let me just throw this out. I had originally said, I want to say it was a month or so ago, we did the podcast. They needed 2 more transfers at linebacker. That was under the full assumption that Terrence would be able to play healthy in the fall. And he's a very special talent.
Yeah. They
need 2 or more, which is not realistic.
No,
because you can get as many as you like. That's A. But how many can physically contribute at the level within the skills that they need you to have for this specific defense? They are built on speed. They want track guys at all. There are very few of them, period. And now you're past spring ball with everybody already transferring. For those of you who don't know, May 1st is the transfer line for being eligible. I mean, nobody else can enter. Now, they could still enter and they could be eligible in 23, which UCF would still take.
Yeah.
If it's a good football player, because they just need to. Yeah, right.
Like that's
it, bro.
That's my answer, Brian. Like I don't know what you can do now. They're going to have to dig
deep. The only other thing
they
could do is take one of the running backs or tight ends or somebody and move them to linebacker, and that or safety. I mean, there's a lot of ways that somebody could do that.
Yeah, they're going to have to rotate somebody. They're deep in some of these positions on defense, so they're going to have to rotate somebody.
They might end up being ungodly creative in a game. Here's a hypothetical for you.
Okay.
You know, when we talk about the heat, you know, it's crazy hot in Central Florida. They play 3 weeks in a row where it's hot. They get a kid. It doesn't even really get hurt. He just gets cramps. He misses the 4th quarter, whichever point. Pick one. They may have to put a safety at weak side linebacker for a quarter in a close game when the other team's trying to run the ball. There is no safety on earth that is going to be able to handle
that position.
A Division I offensive guard on an inside zone play. Zero.
Man. That's going to be,
it's just part of it. I mean, at the end of the day, I hate this, but it's true. At the college level, especially because it's developmental sport, and you get 85 guys on scholarship. This is a sport of attrition.
Yeah.
When you start out with fewer, your chances to win are diminished. That's it. UCF is in a very awkward spot to begin with. And I know they got good players around, but you're just waiting for one guy like Jeremiah tweaks an ankle or has, some kind of cramps or something. He just can miss a quarter and it could cost them a game. They were up 10 points. They could get crushed in the 4th quarter. You don't know.
This is just a huge blow, man. It's a huge blow heading into the, summer, fall range. It's just something that couldn't happen. I know people are got to be hurting.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks because I think conservatively, I don't know all the answers yet because you got to go through fall camp and all that. Yeah. This is a 9-win or higher football team this fall. Then the situation with I mean, they're in the hunt. They're in the top 4 conservatively in the AAC, probably top 2, and yet now
your defense
if Jeremiah gets hurt in game 3, this might be a 7-5 football team.
Yeah,
you can't stop the run. I don't care what you do.
Louisville is going to if they get somebody hurt before that. Oh man.
No. You're not beating Louisville. Like Jeremiah doesn't play, they're not winning that game.
No. Cunningham's going to have a field day.
Jeremiah is probably going to get paid to play football. You can't lose guys like that to begin with. But now we don't even know who in the world would be the man's backup.
Pair with his Batman and Robin. That's tough.
Is Johnson the will? Is Perry there? Do they? Devon's been talked about at the night. He said he was moving. Are they going to have to do something else now? There are a gazillion
T.
And
Woods
depending on who you play, you're talking about different packages. They don't have time to do that now because it happened after spring. You can't do a lot of stuff on the fly in the fall. It's limited.
Yeah.
Here it is.
T. Wood got his work cut out.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't care what he does, and the guy knows his stuff, but you're guessing at some point because you have to assume injury at that spot above all else. And two, here's the other part that's really interesting. When you play teams that run a lot of multiple offenses, 4 wide on one play, 2 tight the next, they eat up all your practice time with that anyway. You need to know exactly where Johnny's going to be on each play. You can't be guessing week to week. They're without spring ball to help them with that.
Yeah, they're gonna have to get somebody quick so they can learn the schemes.
That's what I mean. But there's nobody allowed to be transferring now.
No, like you said, they're gonna have.
It's got to be somebody that was already in the portal.
Yep.
And I don't think there's really a lot out there. I could be wrong. I certainly don't study it like UCF researches all that every day.
Yeah, they'll know
I'm
more.
totally down with that. I get it. But you're in a very, very tough spot. And they might just say, you know what? We're not going to overdo it. We'll take 1 or 2, but this is who we got. We'll play a walk-on or do whatever. But they might simplify scheme and play talent over scheme. That's something that teams do sometimes. And you just kind of hope for the best. Again, they can't afford any more injury. It's just could be catastrophic. We're talking cost you 2 or 3 wins. There's at some point it's about the guys in the helmets. It's not about the X's and O's. That old saying, Jimmy's and Joe's, not the X's and O's. That's what we're basically talking about.
Yeah, and Terrence is a guy you couldn't lose, man. You could have built around that guy, brought in maybe another linebacker to want to play next to him. So that's tough.
Correct. With that, I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to head to a practice and watch guys run into each other here in Tampa where I'm at. But I tell you what, this kind of news just sucks. It happens once or twice a year. You know somebody on an 85-man roster is going to do something goofy. Well, here it is.
Man.
So it's just unfortunate.
I wasn't expecting it so soon, though, man.
No.
Spring,
it is what it is.
Yeah.
I can't make it go away. You can't either. But I can tell you this. You got to go to the next play. You know, whoever's the next person, that's who plays.
Gus Malzahn he says that every time. Next man up. So
here's your chance, bro.
Yeah.
Here's your chance. So. All right, Andrew. Thank you very much. Hang out here with me just for a sec. But for those of you out there, thank you for watching. We appreciate it. If you're listed on iTunes or Apple or whatever it is, appreciate that as well. Please like and subscribe. Hit the notification button. We will be back very soon, hopefully with a little better news than today. But everybody have a great day. Thank you very much.